Hi, good afternoon. My name is Bradley Chapman and welcome to Raw Business TV. And this afternoon we're joined by Yvonne Morton. Yvonne Morton is a wonderful lady actually. We've just been chatting prior to going live about life and business and everything else. I'm just going to lower my camera speed with just one tag there. So yeah, Raw Business TV, we've been broadcasting now since December 2010. Very exciting time for us, lots of changes in the business. Before we move on to Yvonne, as always, I'll just bring up to speed with who we are and what we do. We're an online business entrepreneur networking company. We have thousands of members who are becoming more connected every day. We offer you a mixture of marketing, advertising and networking for your company, and we publish a leading inspirational business magazine called Raw Business. We're moving our businesses forward just like you guys every single day and learning from the mistakes and enjoying the challenges that being in business represents. Membership to our network is completely free. You can go to rawbusiness.com and register and join our community and contribute to what we're trying to achieve. And you know, we're just like you guys. You know, we've got a dream. We're chasing a business dream, and we're the same as what we say, everyday people achieve extraordinary things, and we look forward to your involvement on Raw Business. Any help, suggestions and tips on how we can move forward or how we can deliver a more exciting proposition to you, we welcome your suggestions. Today is quite an exciting opportunity. Yvonne Morton runs a company called Whyare Inspired Limited. Very experienced lady. She's a very calm lady, but very good for me actually over the last few years, and has been very decent in supporting and helping Raw Business and me personally to move the business forward. And as I said so many times, it wasn't for people like Yvonne helping and supporting our cause, quite simply we wouldn't be able to do what we're trying to do. So Yvonne is going to talk today about starting a business, and this is a really great subject, isn't it? Because I think now more than any time before there are so many people considering going into business. With so many government changes and redundancies, there's going to be a lot of civil servants that's looking to go into business, but also there are people that have reached a stage in their life where they are perhaps perturbed by the full-time employment straddle, and they've got this energy and this idea and they want to convert that into starting a business. So I'm not going to steal Yvonne's thunder, because she's going to go through lots of really good slides that's going to give you guys a really decent amount of nuggets on starting a business. But as always, I always like to set the tone about starting a business so it gives you guys a flavour. Now, I've spoken so much about Raw Business and my journey and what I've been through in trying to build a business. Raw Business is about 3 years old now. We're still not where we need to be. We've been through so many changes. I've made so many mistakes that perhaps were avoidable, and everything we've built with Raw Business, you know, sort of advocates that we will come together, help each other to overcome adversity. But starting a business is a most wondrous thing for somebody, but indeed it is a roller coaster ride of emotion. Some really great and some really challenging. And because it's a roller coaster motion, you've got the highest of highs and you've got the lowest of lows of being a business. And I started a number of different businesses in my time, but one that I'll set the scene on today was an import-export company that I had. It was called Compass International. And when I started this business, I started out initially in the front room of in the spare room of my flat. And I can remember I was about 23 years of age at the time when I started this one. And I remember going to buy my highest investment piece of kit, which was a fax machine. And I couldn't afford a new fax machine at the time, so they were like 500, 600, 700 quid. So I'm 40 now, so this was 17 years ago. So I went through the newspapers and it was £175. I bought this fax machine, and it was one of those thermal roll fax machines. So I can remember putting this fax machine in the spare room of my flat, and this little desk I had, and I had a little lamp. So I'm looking at a lamp now on my desk here, but I had a little lamp, I had a fax machine, and I had a phone line. And I'd given up, you know, all the work that I was doing to earn income to start this business. Well, that's not actually quite true, because I was running my business, but I was working at night selling hot dogs in a hot dog stall at Wembley Stadium. So, but it was the most challenging time. It was the most fantastic time, but it was a risk for me. It was a massive risk. And I did go on to build a multi-million-pound company. And unfortunately, in 1998, I'd managed to get involved with some Koreans. I had a Korean partnership, and in '98 the Far East crashed, and it cost me an awful amount of money, and I had to start again. But what I'd achieved in the space of 3 years was actually quite awesome looking back now. So I've been through the start-up business stage and phase a few times, and it's very exciting. And I think there's a very big difference between starting a business and running a business. And I think you go from the emotion of starting a business where you're full of energy, you're full of inspiration, you want to talk to everybody about this idea you've got such a high sort of enthusiasm rate. And I think there's a massive change between when you start to when you run a business. Because once you're set up, it's like, I'm running now, oh my God, I've now got to generate this income and revenue to support myself, my family, whatever the case may be. But an exciting time. In any case, I'm going to pass over to Yvonne now, who's going to talk to you guys about starting a business. Once Yvonne's run through her slides and given a presentation on starting a business, and perhaps Yvonne will give you guys an introduction about herself as well, and her background and the things that she's done, we'll come back together and perhaps have a chat and maybe run a few sort of questions and answers. I'm going to flick forward the first slide now for Yvonne to kick off. I'm going to jump out the screen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Yvonne Morton to Royal Business TV, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Thank you, Brad. Okay, we build this as, so you want to start a business. Yeah, are you mad? And time and time again, people have said to me over things I've done over the years, you're mad, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Well, we all have to get out there and take risks. We all have to get out there and do something, otherwise you just end up in a nice little comfort zone, not doing anything much at all with your life. So we'll look at some of the practical ideas to do with starting a business. And if you're thinking about starting a business, you know, it's tough. I started Whyare Inspired just over 2 years ago. I've had a previous business that I started with my husband, but unfortunately he died in 2008 from cancer, and I was left without job, business, or husband. So I battled on my own, started up again just before Christmas in 2008, and started moving it through 2009, 2010 to where I am now. I'm an accountant by training. I've worked in lots of small businesses over the years. I've seen some of the pitfalls, I've seen some of the mistakes. I've had more lessons in how not to run a business than I have in how to run a business, because where small businesses go wrong, they haven't got the expertise for certain areas, etc., etc. And that's not the subject of the talk today, but I've seen a lot. So we'll start off looking at, you've got this great idea. You've got a great idea for a new business. It might be a new product, it might be a new service, it might be just a gap in the market you've seen, but you've got this great idea. Have you got a vision for it? Is it just an idea, or have you a vision? Can you see that now? Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? What does that business look like? Hold the vision. See it in your mind. Can you see it? The next thing you need is a strategy, because how are you going to get there? 10 years down the road, where will you be? Have you got a strategy? Have you got a plan? That strategy needs to be turned into a plan, step-by-step plan. You need to get there. The steps you need to get to that vision, 10 years down the road. Keep seeing it, that vision. And have you got the support for this? As I said, many people say, oh, you're mad. You're mad. Why do you want to do that? Just find another job. You're mad. Does your significant other, your wife, your husband, partner, do they support you? Are they willing to stand behind you? Because you're going to need their support, because you're going to work long hours getting this off the ground. You're going to be here, there and everywhere sorting it all out. And your friends and family, are they with you? Will they support you? Will they give you some of the tips, help you need, somebody to talk to? Build a team around you. It can include your family, friends, but also include your bank manager, your accountant. Get yourself a coach or a mentor. You might have somebody who's really good at that, or you might have to pay for it, but find somebody who's independent, because sometimes friends and family will not give you it straight. They will just tell you what they think you want to hear. And sometimes you need that person who's going to really talk straight to you and tell you, no, you're going the wrong way, or have you thought about this? You need to get that coaching phase. And build up relationships with suppliers and customers. And choose carefully. We all worry about customers going down on us, owing us money, but when suppliers go down on you, that can cost as well. I've seen that happen. When a supplier goes bust, They might hold some of the stuff to make your product. You've got to get it back from the liquidators or the administrators. Just be careful, build up a relationship with them and watch what's going on in case they go down on you, like your customers. But if you're in a good relationship with them, then you should get to know beforehand, or at least early on, when things start to go wrong. And look for business networking groups. There are plenty around. Raw Business is one, a networking group. You can get ideas and talk to other people who are in similar situations to yourself. So think about that. So you've got the great idea, you've got the vision, you've got a strategy, you've got a plan, and you've got your support. Okay, let's think about some other things. If I can click the slide over. Legal identity. How are you going to trade? Are you going to be a sole trader, a partnership, a limited company, or a limited liability partnership? You may want to talk to your accountant about this in more detail. I can only generalise, but you may want to go and talk to them and see which is the best way forward for you. Sole trader, you're on your own. You will need to register with the Inland Revenue as self-employed, and you can employ people, but you're there on your own. Partnership, you can share the load with somebody else. But if you're going into partnerships, choose your partner carefully. So you might end up with a business partner who just is along for the ride, doesn't want to really do the work. You really want somebody who also, if you're taking on a partner, who complements what you can do and not identical to you. So there's all aspects to your business. A limited company has got to be registered with Companies House, and you need to look into that as to whether that is the right way to go forward. The limited company will protect you to a certain extent, and it has more kudos. For some reason, people seem to trust limited companies. And then there's the limited liability partnership, if that's applicable to you. Again, this is something where you need to sit down and talk through your own personal details with your accountant or your coach. Next slide, the mouse, right. Apart from legal identity, whoops. I'm doing silly things with the computer here and the mouse. We're getting all over the place. Oh, lost it again, Brad. What to do? Right. Your business identity. A name for your business. A logo. Branding. You need to think these things through very, very carefully. You want a name that's catchy. Something that will mean something. People will remember. But you've also got to make sure that you haven't got a name that somebody else is using. And there is the National Business Register where you can go and check out the names, and Companies House website where you can go and check out names. And they're free. You can just go on them and find out whether that name is in use, and whether you need to then register it so you can get it for yourself. Logo, branding. Again, you've got to think about this, what sort of business you are, whether you need a logo, whether you need branding for it. And you probably will need to take professional advice to talk about what your idea is and whether you need to brand it, get a logo and such like. A lot to think about on that one. Sorry, I'm not very good with this one here. Right. Then you need to think about premises. Whatever sort of business you've got. Can you work from home? Now that's a cheaper option because you've already got your premises there, but is it suitable? Will you need planning permission for what you're doing? And will you upset neighbours if you're in a nice quiet little residential area? Will you upset them with noise? Deliveries coming in and out. If you're going to have vans coming in and out delivering. You know, a lot of people work out their garages, use them as warehouses. But if you've got vans coming in and out several times a day, some people might get annoyed. So you need to check it out with your local district council. Or you could consider leasing or buying separate premises. Again, choose very carefully, look round, will it suit? All sorts of things to consider, like disability access. If you're going to sell the latest idea in wheelchairs, you don't want to be upstairs in a room with no disability access, no lift or anything, because you want people to come in and look at them. So you want a ground floor premises. Looking at what you want, you need to actually suit the type of business you are. So you might want a shop, you might want a warehouse, you might want a factory. You will know what you need. Research it carefully. Look at what the rental costs are going to be, or the repayments on a business mortgage. Look at whether they're suitable, whether the access is okay. Can you get big lorries in if you're going to have big lorries delivering to you? Not all premises are suitable, so you've got to look at exactly how you need it. The warehouse, the factory, whatever it may be. Next consideration, finance. This is the big one. The plan we talked about earlier, you need to cost it out. Do a lot of research finding out what it's going to cost you. So ring suppliers or potential suppliers to find out what their charges are for their products or services. Will you need to remortgage? Can you finance this? Will you need to remortgage your house? Or take out a bank loan? Family friend loan? Somebody might be willing to lend you the money, a business angel? But how much are you willing to risk? When you look at the finances, how much it's going to cost, how much are you willing to risk? If you've got enough capital built into your house or something, you may be willing to risk it because you could downsize if it all goes wrong. If you haven't, you could lose everything if it all goes wrong. And do you have enough money to live on? You're not going to make profits from day one. You're not even going to recoup the money you've invested in the business for a long while. You've still got to pay your own bills. Are you willing to take that risk? Are you willing to make sure you have enough money to live on? Just think it through very carefully. The usual thoughts on this is that you should have at least enough money for 6 months for living costs. And then within 6 months you should hopefully start to be making some money. Don't expect to be earning the sort of money you were earning before quite a while. It may work well for you. Some businesses take off and go really well, but generally most of them jog along for 2 or 3 years till they get established and people get to know and trust who they are. So think about this area very, very carefully as to how you're going to finance your business idea and whether you're willing to take that risk. And do you have enough money to live on for the rest until it does get into a viable position that it will start to pay you. There are also then the legalities to think about. Legalities like insurances. You must have employee liability insurance if you employ people, but you also want to make sure you insure any stock you've got. You might need professional indemnity. You might need public liability, especially if you've got premises, you should have public liability. Health and safety issues. How are your premises? Are they safe? What you're looking at? And this is where the next section, risk management, comes in as well. Do risk management, risk assessments on whatever's happening in the business. So do you need to buy certain safety equipment? Do you need to get people in to give you advice? If you're thinking of things like a warehouse, you need forklifts, you've got to do forklift training, all that sort of thing. You need to think about what you're doing that's pertinent to your business and consider the health and safety issues and the risk management or risk assessments to go with this to manage those risks that will occur in any business. And then there's employment issues, contracts of employment, employee rights, maternity and paternity leave and pay, etc., etc. It goes on and on. Again, you may want to take advice on this if you're not up to speed, and there are organisations out there, websites out there where you can find a lot of information. But you need to consider the risk of employing people if you're going to start employing people. Licences. Do you need a licence? If you're an obvious one that comes on, if you're going to sell alcohol, you need a licence. You can't sell alcohol. There's also other things. You can't use other people's branding without licences. And to protect your branding, you may need to register it. So other people need to get licenses from you if they want to use your logos. You can't set up making Mickey Mouse clocks because Disney hold the license to Mickey Mouse. You would have to get a license from them. So think about what you're doing on branding, etc. Do you need licenses for what you're doing? Other considerations. Be prepared to get it wrong. We all get it wrong. We all make mistakes. They're not mistakes, they're learning experiences. Learn from them and move forward. So be prepared. And are you prepared to get it wrong? And put your hands up in the air and say, I got it wrong. Because you will get things wrong. It happens. Be prepared to change direction. You may have set your strategy and your plan, but it shouldn't be in stone. Because sometimes things happen. Fashions change, ideas change, laws change. You may have to change direction. You may have to move another way. Be prepared. Don't just sit there and say, oh, this isn't working. This is why nobody wants to buy crinoline dresses anymore. They all want mini skirts. But oh, I don't like mini skirts. I'm not selling them. You'll go out of business. Be prepared to change direction. Be prepared for long hours. Be prepared to make adjustments in your life, to be able to drop things when you go. Be prepared that you may have to sit there in the evening doing your paperwork to start with. Be prepared for the long hours that come. It can be disruptive to your personal life, to your leisure time. You may not get much leisure time. Try and factor something in. Make sure you get some me space in the week. It's not easy, but you need to do it. You need that walk away from it. Go for a long walk in the country or something. Yeah. I'm lucky I live right on the edge of a country market town, and I can just walk up my house, round the corner and up the bridleway, and I'm out across the fields, and it's lovely. This space, you can get away and think and just relax for a while. And above anything, remain positive. Negativity attracts negativity. And if you're negative about your business, your customers are going to be negative about your business. You need to be positive. Positive. Don't tell them about all the bad times. Don't tell them how rough their last week was and you didn't take much money. Tell them it's brilliant, it's going well, it's really great. Remain positive. And finally, click over to my last slide. I love this quote. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Be prepared to take that step and walk that 1,000 miles. You might need to change direction along the path, do different things, and unexpected things to be moved right out of your comfort zone. Be prepared to take that step. And remember, the best entrepreneurs out there didn't always get it right first time. Good luck with the new business. Back to Brad.
Fantastic, thanks Yvonne, great stuff. I'm going to go back to a couple of slides that we had earlier on, if that's okay. Thank you very much indeed for your delivery. I want to go back to the first one. Yeah, the first one actually. So you have a great idea, and look, this is really where everything starts, isn't it? This is where your whole business idea starts. And we spoke about this before we went live about myself actually. And later on down the slides, you talk about partnerships. With these great bullet points, have you got a vision? Have you got a strategy? Have you got a plan? Have you got support? In my experience, the vision is a really powerful thing. And when someone has a vision of their product or their service sort of taking place, you kind of see it in this dimension in your head. You can see everything. So then getting that vision from the vision that you see into a workable strategy and a plan that you can execute, I think, I mean, for me personally, because I'm a great visionary, I'm a great door opener, but I am useless at strategising and useless at planning, really. Let's be honest, that's true. So what is your best advice of someone extracting what's in somebody's head to getting that strategy and that plan in place? Because invariably, even the best laid plans and the best laid strategies will need to have tolerances and allowances for adjustment and for change when something's not quite working right. So what's your best advice for taking a vision into a strategy which can become then an executable plan with allowing to have flexibility for tolerance of change?
as I was saying towards the end there, you should never set anything in stone. You've got to be prepared to change direction. If you're going to get the strategy, when I do a strategy and then a plan, I look at 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. Vision is for 10 years. Where do I want to be in 10 years' time? What have I got to do in this first year to achieve that? And it probably, vision for a new business today, it would be, right, what have I got to do here? I need to get an accountant, I need to get a bank manager, I need to register it as a company or register the name because I don't want anyone else to use it. All those things, start to think, what have I got to do to get to that vision at the end, the beginning things which we've just been talking about. And then plan it. What are you going to do this month, next month? What needs to be done first? Get it in the right order. And cost it out and set a budget. If you don't set budgets for what you're going to do, then it can run away with you. Your costs will run away with you.
Of course.
But be prepared that things change. As you go down the road, you might have said, right, I can rent some premises, but I can't afford more than 10,000 a year. But where you live, you might not be able to find suitable premises at 10,000. You might have to spend 15,000, 20,000. And then you've got your NMDR, the rates, business rates, and they go up accordingly. So you've got to be prepared to be able to move that strategy, that plan around a bit and think, right, actually, maybe I've got to move house to start this business, so I go to a cheaper area. Or can I commute? So
all these considerations.
All these considerations. And you need to do it the first year. What have you got to do? Because from idea to start, it's probably going to be a year on some businesses.
Yeah.
You can start a bit quicker. Yeah. As an accountant, all I need is an office and a desk. You can do that from home. But if you want to have a shop or a factory making something, you've got to plan because you've got to buy the machinery, whatever you need.
The process.
So you've got to, before you go live, you've got to work out what you're going to do, where you're going to get this stuff from, and you need to get that into your strategy, and then you plan it out. What's the priority? It's no good buying your machinery if you haven't got a factory to put it in.
Yeah. And then there's a consideration in your strategy as well, that if you're suggesting, I mean, like us when we first started out, to get a networking site up, it was an office, it was a website, and it was an internal structure.
Yeah.
And I think we went live in something like 2.5 months, but we had heavily underestimated the actual time that we really did need to go live. And looking back now, in 2007, actually we went live before we were ready and tested, because our customers were going to be relying on using a website. We went live with a website that we knew would need some ongoing changes before we were fully functionally live. And I guess that is another very important part of it, making sure that you estimate your pre-go live stage to make sure that you've got that spot on, because any delay can cost you huge sums of money, can't it?
Well, it can. So you don't want to start employing people before you've got your strategy and vision and everything all worked out. Otherwise, it will cost you a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And you've learned from your experiences.
Not really.
I mean, you can deliver this as well as I can, I think, because, you know.
So many. This one's also quite another one. This, had you got support, and you said about getting support from your family and friends. And again, in my experience, it's probably the same for yourself. When you first start out, your family and friends, they seem to be right behind you.
Yeah.
There's always one person that's like your coach that questions you on what you're doing to make you have a reality check. Is this going to work? And this support one for anyone starting a business is an amazingly important aspect of you growing your business, because when you get your business from your sort of dream stage into your reality stage, you're then you're then in the reality of having to deliver an income stream of some sort, and it's, as you said, it's not going to be what you need it to be. And this support can very quickly go out the window if you get it wrong. And then if you're still believing in your business product, but then your family's not with you, what's the effects? What's the effects? Because it can cause stress, right?
Well, it can do, because if you've gone out on your own and initially your husband, wife, partner, whatever, has said, great, great, I'll carry on working, you go and do the business, and then we'll be right. And then if it's taking longer than you initially said, and you're not bringing home your share of the money, suddenly, lifestyles drop and things, and it's and that's when things start to go wrong. Yeah.
And that's where
That's good in a way.
I am, because I've obviously done that. I'm doing it, I should say. And it's and listen, once you lose your support, and if you lose, people stop believing in what you're doing, or they're starting to question what you're doing, what happens to your mind?
Well, that's right. And you know, if you go home and you know the wife or the husband's not talking to you anymore, and you're just sitting there thinking, I need someone to talk to and talk this through with, please. That's where getting a coach or a mentor in place is really good, because at least you can ring them up and say, I need a half hour. Can you chat to me? You know.
And that's very important.
It is very important having somebody
Very
there.
important.
And sometimes, as I said, some way through the talk, sometimes your family and friends will not tell you as it is, but your coach will.
Yeah.
Because they've got no emotional link to you whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's a business partnership. You know, you pay them and they give you the help and support you need, or hopefully they do if you've got a good coach. And you need that support somewhere, and somebody who's independent, that you can talk to, who's not emotionally involved with you or your family and friends, is really, really good.
I mean, I'm an absolute advocate of coaching now. I think it's a very, very important thing for a business owner, from a personal point of view, and it's very good for business. And it took me a long while to understand and to realise that actually coaching is a fantastic tool. And exactly what you're saying, because there's no emotional attachment from the coach is actually thinking really commercially and about what's right for the business and what's right for you. And a good coach makes complete and absolute sense. And sometimes half an hour with a decent coach is worth a bundle to you, because it gives you the little nuggets that you're not getting, and you can go and you can implement those, can't you?
And they're looking at it from the outside. They can see it differently. You're in it, and it's your baby, and you are so tied up in it. And they can look at it and say, why are you doing that? I don't know.
They question your beliefs, and
absolutely.
It's funny, because I've actually listened more attentively to a business coach than I had to other people.
Yeah.
And I must admit, they've been right. You know, so I'm an absolute advocate of that. I wanted to go back to this, the premises, the whole premises situation, and premises, as you said, was a major part of somebody's business growth, and invariably it's a sort of Soho first, wasn't it, a small office, home office, and then they move into, and I can associate with this so much. I mean, I work from home a couple of times I started a business before going into a shop, and I actually did have a warehouse and I had a factory, so I've gone through the whole range there. But I guess there was the art of knowing when to jump, why you're jumping, and what the long-term challenges would be sustaining that new cost level. Now, I've looked back over some of the things that I've done, and I said to myself, looking back, and obviously hindsight, I said to myself, why did you move so quickly from that location, which had controllable costs, into a location that had much bigger costs? And what I hadn't factored in were things like global climate, Far East crashes, interest rate hikes. So with the best will in the world, and you're moving your business forward, how can you also look out for some of these pitfalls or climate changes or things that happen that are outside of our control? Would you suggest building some kind of backup fund within your structure to give? What's your advice there? Because things can happen that, you know.
It can be good to have reserves if you're making enough money to put some of that money into reserve for the bad times. You know, like the recession we're going through at the moment. And retail is suffering. And if you've got good reserves, fine, and you've got a good business that's strong. But yes, it will go wrong, and it's very difficult to predict it. On a personal level, I mean, if you're taking out a lease, I would do one on a yearly basis if you can get it.
Like a break clause.
So you've got those clauses in there. I mean, I started a shop just over a year ago with my daughter. My daughter's a performing arts teacher. She saw the gap in the market for a dance shop. But we've only got a 3-year lease, and that's my get out. 3 years is my maximum. This does not work. I've got my get out. I've also now, we've turned it in half shop, quarter warehouse, a quarter my office. I've got my office out of my house now. Finally, I'm getting my little bedroom back. I'm glad to get everything down there. But I'm using it multi-purpose now.
So it's giving you some value in other areas.
Giving me value in other areas. But I did only take a 3-year lease. I was not looking for any longer term lease. It's 3 years. If it doesn't work, that's it. And you've got to look at these things. If you've got a very strong business, then you can afford to take out longer leases if you've got it really built up. But we never know what's around the corner, and that's where you've got to be ready to change direction when something hits you.
Absolutely.
And you've got to keep an eye on what's happening out there, the businesses, especially if you've got businesses that rely on international trade. You've got to keep on what's happening out in these other places where you're trading. And you know, we've seen the riots in Egypt recently and all that. You never know when these things are going to crop up somewhere.
Yeah.
And it affects trading. The holiday trade's gone out the window at the moment to some of these places. But,
Yeah.
you know, government's saying don't go, it's not safe. So the holidays, so depending on what your business is, you've got to keep an eye on what's happening. And try to preempt it as well as you can, or be there as soon as you see it going.
Yeah.
To try and take some preventative action or changes of direction that might just help.
Yeah, it's funny enough you mentioned about Egypt. I was out last night. A friend of mine just had a little baby boy, and we went out last night for a quick beer to celebrate
To wet the baby's head,
yeah.
yeah.
And well, actually, my friend who had the baby couldn't come because the baby's got jaundice, and he's staying in hospital. We've all travelled miles to meet him, and half an hour before we're due to go, he said I can't make it. And so I went out with a couple of mine. These are my childhood buddies, and one of them is a hedge fund manager who's just starting out on his own hedge fund, and he's doing really, really well. I've got to tap my hat off to him. Really proud of him. And I was asking him about this, the global climate problems, and speaking about Egypt, etc., and the problem in the Middle East. He said, Brad, he said, lucky enough, he said, I didn't trade for that month. So if he trades on his shares, you know, he's got a risk in the position. He said, so all I said was, no, we're not trading. So we didn't buy and sell, because he works a lot in the Middle East, so he didn't have any risk. So what he said to the clients was, there's not going to be any activity in the next couple of weeks. We're not actually trading. So he had the comfort of not being able to trade during that period. And not everybody does.
No.
When these unforeseen things come up, you have to be, I think, as an entrepreneur, you have to be fairly flexible and tolerant. And if something, you can plan for everything, but there's certain things you can't plan for. And I think, I mean, what's your thoughts? If you're an entrepreneur and something comes up that you're not used to, you need to be fairly flexible to be able to deal with it, don't you? You need to be adaptable.
Oh, yeah,
what's your thoughts on adaptability?
I think it's essential. If you're going to run a business, you have got to be adaptable, because you never know what you'll end up doing. Some of the good things I've heard about this is always be prepared to do anything in the business. Never expect anybody to do something that you can't do yourself, you wouldn't handle.
Yeah.
If you've got to sweep the floor, if you've got to make the tea, you do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's being adaptable, because, hey, you've got a visitor, and also there's nobody else in the office. Who makes a cup of tea for them?
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to look rude. You offer a cup of tea, so you go and do it. And you've got somebody's not in, out in your factory. You've got orders to go out the door, and you need somebody making something. Who goes out there and does that?
Yeah.
Oh, my late husband and I had a packaging business. I know how to make cardboard boxes. I can tell you, I can make them, I can glue them, I can stitch them, I can cut cardboard on the cutter, I can slot them, I can crease them, I know how to do it. I'm an accountant. My main role was the administration side of it, but hey, the box maker's sick.
Yeah.
Who goes out and makes them?
There you go.
I used to make boxes when Phil wasn't around. You know, box maker. The van driver's not coming in today. Got deliveries to go out. Who went out in the van? Me. I've driven all over East Anglia, around London, what have you, in the van and doing deliveries. Be prepared. You've got to be adaptable. I couldn't sit there and say, hey, I'm an accountant. I don't drive vans.
It's not my job remit.
It's my business, or 50% if it was my business. I've got to get out there.
Absolutely.
Out of the window went the smart suits and things. It was jeans and trainers and shirts.
On with the casuals and get stuck in.
I get stuck in. You know, you can't sit there and say, no, going to break my nails.
So versatility is.
You've got to be. You've got to be able to muck in and do anything. I mean, you just have to. And that's it. So be prepared for that as well.
Absolutely, fantastic.
I mean, my presentation wasn't definitive. There's a whole load of these things. I'm sure you've got more ones.
Absolutely. We could talk for ages and ages and ages. But what we're going to do now is we're going to just give you full contact details, so you can contact Yvonne directly. Yvonne, if you'd like to read out your telephone numbers, email addresses, web addresses, etc.
Right. Telephone number is 01799 526 661. My email is yvonne@whyareinspired.co.uk, and I have a website which is whyareinspired.co.uk, and you can contact me on those. and I'd be pleased to hear from you.
Fantastic. I mean, look, we've got the final thought up there, because this is one that I'd used for many years in different businesses that I'd had, and it probably sums my life up, actually. Be prepared to go on the occasional wild goose chase, as that's what wild geese are for, which means very simply exactly what it says on the tin. You've got opportunities in your business to explore, explore. And have fun as well, because not every journey is going to be successful. Every decision you take is going to be successful, but you do gain lots of experience, as Yvonne said at the start, on ways not to do things. And I think the more experience you are in ways not to do things makes you a stronger business individual, moving forward. Yvonne does a number of other different things as well with her business, so please give Yvonne a call, make contact, and have a chat. A call costs nothing, and a chat costs nothing, and who knows where things can go. And I'm a great advocate for networking and building businesses and moving together, and I know that Yvonne has been through a very powerful journey herself, and I've got the greatest respect for her as an individual and as a mum, and everything else that she does. She's a very strong lady, has got a great heart, and I know that she can help a number of different businesses move forward, and she'd take pride in doing so, and would welcome the opportunity. So please feel free to call. In terms of Raw Business TV, next time, today actually at 6 o'clock, we've got Robert Copping coming in. You met Robert before, haven't you?
Yes,
From
I have.
Sidecar.
Yes.
Robert's a lovely man, really lovely man, and we have some great bands together. Robert's business is about forecasting your business. So again, it's a nice follow-on from what Yvonne's talking today with Business Startup, because Robert's business is startup planning and cash flow programming to keep in line with. So
that you can follow on with more detail.
A nice follow-on from today's webcast.
Yeah.
In terms of Raw TV, you're watching Raw TV at the moment. You may be watching live, or also you may be watching as a recorded version. Either way, you can also find Yvonne's profile details on the Raw Business Network if you're a registered member, and contact Yvonne that way. But that's it really from myself today. Everyday people achieve extraordinary things. Go get them, everybody. Let's make it work. It's going to be a very exciting this year, 2011. Exciting a year for entrepreneurs, but to take action and to move forward. And let's try and make less mistakes by sharing more time together with people like Yvonne that can help you move your business forward. So it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me.
Thank you very much indeed for your time today. We hope you enjoyed watching Raw TV, and we'll catch you later.